For my fall tree, I want to go ahead and make a really nice rustic garland that goes around it, and I want it to match this ribbon that I picked out that I'm going to use on the tree. So I've gone ahead and mixed up some orange milk paint here, and I'm going to put in a whole bunch of these wooden beads. So I'm going to use these to make the garland, and I want to turn these orange. So I'm going to let them sit in this paint mixture, and I'm just going to use something to mix them up. I want to make sure that they're all covered. So once they're all covered, I'm going to go ahead and let them sit in the milk paint mixture for a little while. I want them to absorb some of that orange color, so I'm going to go ahead and let these sit now for a while, and I'll give them a stir a couple of times during the next hour and just let them sit. Now that the beads have had lots of time to soak and they've soaked up some of that orange color, it's time to pop them out and let them dry. So I'm just going to use some of these skewers that I got at the dollar store, and I'm just going to pop them right through the wood beads like this. Once I've got that like that, nice and full, just gonna pop it in there and set this up to let my beads dry. Now that all the beads are dry, I'm just gonna go ahead and start stringing them on a piece of jute twine. Now that the beads are strung, it's time to start decorating this little tree. So this is the tree that I love to use at Christmas, but I want to get more use out of it. So I'm going to show you how to decorate this for fall. So we're going to start with our beads here. These are the wooden beads that we dyed. I've made a little loop in the end, and I'm going to start them near the top. I'm just going to hook that loop on the back, and I'll start twisting them around here. And you can play with this as you're working and keep moving things around until you have it a way that you like it. Okay, now that the beads are on, I want to add some of these acorns. And I've just got a little ribbon here, and I picked these up, or a twine, and I picked these up at the dollar store. So I'm just going to start decorating the tree with these. So now that I've got the acorns all over my tree, I want to fill in this gap down at the bottom here. So I've got some leaves that are just on a vine here, and I like this vine because the vine part is actually dark, so you don't see it as much as some of the lighter ones. And to fill in this gap at the bottom, I want to fill it in with these beautiful leaves. So I'm just going to start wrapping this around, and I'm just going to tuck it right in that space and have those leaves showing. And I'm not going to glue this in place or do anything. Really, the leaves of the tree are going to hold it. These branches are going to hold the leaves in place. So I just want to keep tucking them around. And you can rearrange these as you go. So they're making a nice base to your fall tree. And to finish off our tree, we're going to go back to that really pretty ribbon that this whole tree was based on at the beginning. And we're going to add a bow to the top. I've gone ahead and made just a really simple bow with some long tails, and I've added a little jute twine at the back just so I can tie this onto the very top. And I'm just going to use the very top branch to tie that on. And then I'm going to just place these sides, the tails of the bow, down the sides of the tree. I'm so excited to get a little extra use out of this cute little mini tree this year. It's perfect on the porch for fall, and then I can just change it up for Christmas. I hope you'll think of doing that with your tree as well. So the first thing we want to do is create a base for our project. And I'm just going to use a paper cup that you probably have at home. And we want to create more of a rustic look to it than just our paper cup. So I'm going to use some twine, and I'm going to cover my cup with twine. All I need to do is use some hot glue to start it. And I'm just going to start it under the lip of my cup. And I'm going to go all the way around my cup until my cup is covered. So I'm going to keep going around my cup here. I've added some hot glue, and I'm just going to twist my twine all the way around my cup until that whole cup is nice and covered. And I'm just going to snap that off at the end, snip it off, sorry, and we are all done. We have our whole cup covered, and you wouldn't even know that that's a paper cup inside. To finish the base of our project, you want to fill your cup with something that's going to make it a little weighted down, a little heavy. So I'm going to fill mine with some birdseed. You could use sand, you could use potting soil, whatever you'd like, or even some rocks or stones to fill your cup. We want to fill it pretty close to the top. The next thing I want to take is a stick that I found on my nature walk. I want it to be fairly straight and it doesn't need to be very long, a little bit over a foot, and I'm going to put this right down into the middle of my cup. So I want to take a paper plate and I want to roll it into a cone. Now keep in mind, you do not want to use styrofoam for this. It's tempting to use a styrofoam cone, but hot glue will actually melt styrofoam. So we want to use a paper plate, or you can use a file folder, something that's fairly thick. So I'm going to create my cone here with my paper plate. I don't want to close up the top completely, so I'm going to leave that open, and I'm going to add some hot glue to hold this in place on the edge. There you go, and we've created the base of our tree. This doesn't need to be perfect by any means because you're going to cover it with something you found on your nature walk. Now, our tree is going to go over our stick like this, but you can see the bottom doesn't look very pretty. The bottom is all uneven, so we're actually going to use the bottom to hold our cone in place on our sticks. So you want to take a pair of scissors, and you're going to trim the bottom of your cone. You're just going to trim it in little slits up to about the same point, and then you're going to fold those pieces in. So we're creating a base of our cone. Now what I want to do is actually use that base to hold my cone in place and push my cone right over the stick, right over those base pieces. Now we want to start building our tree with these pine cones. We're going to take all different shapes of pine cones and we want to attach them onto our cone base. We can start and do this however you'd like. You just want to keep building up your pine cones. I like to put all of the pine cones facing the same direction so that it looks like they're all part of the same tree. You can use any size of pine cone you want to build up your tree. To finish off my tree, I want to add a little bit of snow with some paint and glitter. This is just going to give it a really beautiful effect of a snowy Christmas day. So I'm going to just put a little bit of paint on the bottom of my paintbrush. I'm going to hold the top of my tree in place, and I'm just going to sweep my brush down along the branches as if it was snow that had just fallen and collected on those little pine branches. And I'm going to do this all around my tree. While that paint is still wet, I'm also going to take some glitter, and I'm just going to sprinkle some glitter into that wet paint. And as that dries, it's going to give it a gorgeous shimmery look. I hope you'll pick up some pine cones and a stick on your next nature walk and try out this holiday project. I'm Lisa from Recreated Designs. Thank you for watching Home Talk. I'll see you next time.